Today, Byron will discuss common problems with lawns and the solutions to fix. Mr. Byron, all yours.
I'll follow you.
I think right here.
All right, good.
Okay, great. I want to talk about lawns because a lot of customers, especially new customers, they have problems with their lawns and they want me to fix it. And I think the most top 6 ones that they usually ask me about, I saved the last one for the last because it's the one that costs the most, that is the most expensive to do, and that's thatching your yard and putting a whole new yard in. So we save that for last, time permitting, because it's going to take a while for that one. Right. So not particularly in this order. The first one I'm going to talk about is moss. A mossy yard is a yard that usually whoever put the yard in, they didn't plant enough grass seed. And when you don't plant enough grass seed, you have a lot of bare spots. Those bare spots are going to be covered by something. If it's not moss, it's going to be covered by clover, several other things that can be covered with. But predominantly, if it's wet and warm, it's going to be moss. And a mossy yard, when you walk on it, it's like walking on a sponge. You look back and you see your footprints, you know you got a moss problem. Solution for that. The main thing is you got to kill the moss. If it's a dry day, I use a liquid moss killer. It kills it like right now. You spray it, the moss is green, you spray it, it turns black, like right on contact. And if you use a granule, I usually use a granule if it's a wet day. It takes about a week for it to completely turn black. And the whole yard's not black, just the moss. The grass, it's going to be a dark green. And what you're going to need to do after that, I'm going to explain more in detail when we're talking about thatching. You gotta thatch it, bring in soil, plant grass seed, and so on. So if we have a question later about that, I'll answer that. So number 2, mushrooms. Especially, maybe not so much this time of year, but when it's warmer and we get a lot of rain, you'll see mushrooms pop up. I say about 20% of my yards have a mushroom problem. It's usually in the summertime, it's usually when it's wet, and it can be a problem. And the thing about it is you can't permanently get rid of it. And people think that you can just buy something and you can fix every problem with a yard. Mushrooms is one of those things where you can slow it down. The key 2 things that you can do is you can rake it with a hard rake, break it up, get it out of there, and then the next thing is you can cut your yard short, sucks up the mushrooms. And if you do that over and over again, eventually you won't have a mushroom problem because they just get tired of fighting and growing, they go away. And so that's the main thing, get rid of mushrooms. Number 3, dandelions. It's the most common weed that you'll find in a lawn in the United States, believe it or not. It's usually bushy, it's a broadleaf weed, and then it has a stem that grows up, and then it has that familiar yellow flower that you can see from miles away. Kids love them, parents and adults hate them because they're pests. They're not as bad as blackberry bushes, where they'll take over your yard, but it makes it unattractive. If they were in the garden, it wouldn't be so bad, it add a little color, but in your yard, it's a problem. When you know that dandelions are mature, my son and I like to say they grow an afro. Nice, poofy seed ball. And when the wind blows, those seeds will go like a mile or 2 down the road. And when I first started landscaping, I used to tell customers, and I think it was a selling point at this point, I say, as long as you fertilize your grass, you don't have to worry about that neighbor or the guy down the street that has those dandelions that are growing in your yard. This protects it. Not really true. It does kind of prevent them from taking over, if you're on a fertilizing plan, but you're still going to get 1 or 2 growing from your neighbors. And so that's a legit complaint when people complain about their neighbors not taking care of their dandelions. And what I would do if I do have a customer that I fertilize 4 times a year, let's say, and there's a dandelion here and a dandelion there, I don't go and buy fertilizer and do the whole yard. I have a background in Department of Ecology. I worked 10 years there, and we really didn't like chemicals much. And so something like that, I would mechanically hand pull and be done with it. But the one thing about a dandelion, and the last thing I'll say about a dandelion, their taproot can go 2 to 3 feet deep. So if you do pull it, you're not going to get the whole thing unless you dig up the whole yard trying to get to it. And so the easiest way, especially if you have a problem with it, is just go ahead and put what I use is Scott's weed and feed. It's perfect. It kills over 100 weeds, and dandelions is on that list. So that's how I would take care of that. Number 4, clover. Clover is almost like moss, where they take advantage when there's bare spots and wet areas. A good way to control clover is, like if you got a yard, you got overhanging trees that provide shade, because they like a lot of shade and wetness. Cut back the trees so you get full sunlight. That'll help prevent clover. Also, there's this chemical or weed killer called Weed Be Gone. It's real good to spray on it. It comes in a liquid form. You can buy it in a granule, but if it's a dry day, you definitely want to use the liquid form. You screw it onto your hose and you just spray it right on. Really easy to apply. It's about $15 per application. And a lot of times clover, you got to do it over, you got to repeat the process over and over again. And so, I've done it on one yard maybe 4 times, 4 applications, but got rid of it.
Hey Byron, can you do that in the wintertime, or does it have to be summer?
You know what though? It's mostly spring in the summer, because wintertime, you guys, we have what we call cool season grass. It kind of goes in a hibernation mode, and chemicals are not effective in the wintertime. One of the reasons why it rains so much. So it's not going to be effective. It's not going to be at 100%. But that's the reason why if you are going to put something on your grass this late in the year, we haven't had the real first frost yet, is winterizer. It's a fertilizer. A winterizer, it protects your yard throughout the winter, because when it snows, it rains, and you get all that terrible weather, it protects it, and then in the spring it comes back with a vengeance. It comes back nice and green and thick, and it controls the weeds until you put that spring fertilizer on, and then it really takes off. Then I got to come every week and cut the grass. One of those kind of things. And so that was a real good question, because a lot of people, I had a customer a couple of weeks ago said, "Hey Byron, the yard looks great." And he's one of the ones that didn't want fertilizer. "It looks great, but there's so many weeds. What can we do?" I said, "You know what? Nothing now, but what we can do is protect the grass that you have now." And I told him the bad thing is it's going to protect the weeds too, because if you're strengthening the grass, usually you're strengthening the weeds too, unless you're using a weed killer. And of course, weed and feed is not a weed killer. It basically kills the weeds, but it strengthens the grass also. And so he was happy about that, but he was kind of, disappointed that those weeds weren't going to be gone until next spring. That brings me to the last thing I'm going to talk about, is the thatching, and it can take a long time. So you let me know if I run out of time, or let me know when I have like 4 minutes left. Yeah. And I can close it. Thatching is a big process. It's an expensive process. It's something that you can do yourself, but you better get a team. To do it by yourself is going to be really time consuming. It's going to be time consuming if you have a team of people with you. Give you an example. A regular size yard, we're going to say it's 1,500 square feet, regular size yard. If it's got a real bad thatch problem, and basically what I'll explain to you what thatch is kind of like a soil carpet that doesn't let anything go through. It's taking a lot of spills, a lot of foot traffic. If you spilled something on it, it's not even going to go through. It's just going to sit there. With a thatch, it's usually about 2 to 3 inches thick. It's a mat that doesn't prevent the grass to grow up. It doesn't prevent water to go down to the roots. It doesn't allow air to get to the grass seed. So when you're trying to grow grass, nothing, no success. So what you're going to have to do is take up the grass, and if it's real bad, you got to take the whole thing up, down to the dirt. You got to rototill the dirt, get it nice and soft, because a lot of times if you have a thatch problem, if you take a screwdriver and you stick it in the ground, in the grass, if you got resistance and it's not going down nice and easy, that means you got a compaction problem. And if you got a compaction problem, the water can't get down to the roots. And that's what greens your grass. And so you got to take the moss up, you got to rototill the existing dirt that you got there, and then you got to bring in some nice dirt, some good dirt, with no rocks in it. Because when you're growing grass, if you have rocks on the top of the dirt there, of course the grass seed can't grow on top of a rock. It needs dirt. And so that's when it gets expensive quickly, because to rent the machine, if it's a smaller yard, but a 1,500 square foot yard is not a small yard. So it's going to take you pretty much with the machine that actually removes the thatch. It's going to take you probably about 3 hours to go over the yard to loosen it up. Then you can take the machine back. The machine's about, for 2 hours, it's $45. So anything over that, they charge you about $15 an hour to use the machine. But you're going to want to use the machine, because if you had to do it by hand with a shovel, it would take forever. And you'd be worn out, and your team would be pretty upset at you, because it's a lot of work. And so once you do that, you bring the soil in. You need a roller, make sure it's nice and flat. Then you have to go over with a hard rake and kind of loosen that top layer up, so when you put the grass seed down, the roots can go down and grow. And got to go with a nice starter fertilizer. It's really important, the fertilizer. If you use regular fertilizer, it'll burn the grass seed. It'll be a disaster. It'll look like a ghost town. No grass at all. It'd be very disappointing. I did that one year early in my career, of course. And it wasn't a pretty sight. And so starter fertilizer, you got to sow it in. That means raking the grass seed in lightly, rolling it, water it for 4 to 6 weeks. You'll get a nice thick green grass. But you're gonna have some bare spots. Don't want to have bare spots. What happens if you have bare spots? Anybody?
Other than clover,
Moss, clover, exactly. And then you have that problem again. So what you do is they call overseed. You overseed it. You put more grass seed down, you loosen up the soil, put more grass seed down, roll it, water it, and those spots will grow in. And in the meantime, you don't make the first cut until the blade of grass is at least 4 inches long. Now it's time to cut it short. No. The highest level on your lawnmower, you cut it high, and you gradually cut it lower and lower. Now in the summertime, like the golf course there, good time to cut it short. Keep it long, because the grass will dry out in the summertime if you're not watering it. The golf course is going to water their grass all during the day. The average resident is not going to water their grass every 3 hours, every 4 hours as needed. They're going to water it maybe once a day, maybe. But once the grass is established, believe it or not, your grass only needs an inch of water a week once the grass is established. And what you do is you water it in small increments, like 10 minutes every other day. And that's all you need to water. If you water it more than that, you probably have a thatch problem, because that means that water is just running off your lawn and it's not getting down to the roots. And so anytime you have to water more than 10 minutes, that's usually the problem. That concludes it. Do we have any questions on anything that we talked about? Oh, I still got some time. Okay, great. Question?
How far out do you go?
That's a good question. A larger job, and I'll tell you what a larger job is to me. A larger job is at least a day job, maybe 2. No, a day. A day job, I'll go as far as Seattle. My furthest client, he happens to be in the group, he lives in Yelm, Washington. I never thought I would be going out to Yelm. But the good thing is, he's all your client, he's got a decent sized yard, nice guy, and I'm the only landscaper in the group, so I couldn't tell him no.
You just need to have him refer some of the neighbors to you.
No, that's it. And you know what, I picked up one of his neighbors for a while. She had a lawnmower, she did her yard, she didn't have a weed eater, so, she wanted me to weed around the yard, do a little weed. And once I got that caught up, then she bought a weed eater, so. Yes.
So what type of fertilizer would you recommend, or any, this time of year?
You know what? I use Scott's all year round. It's made for this area, and it's a little more expensive, but it works. And what I normally do when I put my fertilizer on, I put more than what the package says. Like the spreader setting might say 5, I put it on 7. Or if I keep it on 5, I do it in one way, and then I'll do it in opposite direction. And it works great for me. Anytime that I follow the package to a T as far as fertilizer, it's not as effective. And another reason why I use Scott's, because it's time release. It's over time. My customers that let me just do what I want with the yard, I fertilize 4 times a year. And before that fertilizer goes away, I'm fertilizing again. So it's always green, it's always weed free, it's perfect. And so that's why I use that fertilizer. That's not to say cheaper fertilizers don't work, because I've used them. They don't last as long. They're not time release, a lot of them. And so you're better off spending more money.
What causes all the rust-covered spots on the concrete for fertilizer?
You know what? That's the iron in the fertilizer. And
Is it fertilizers that don't contain it?
yes, but I'll tell you about that. They're usually organic, and you would think having a time with the Department of Ecology, I would like to use organic stuff, but it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for me, organic stuff. And it's funny because I know a couple of landscapers, they swear by that organic stuff, but every time I've used it, I've even put more than it said, and it just wasn't effective.
Tagro?
Now,
That's pretty organic.
No, that's, you know what, and I've used Tegro, but the bad thing about it, there's a couple of things. The smell, and you'll be cutting twice a week. That grass just
And
grows.
if you had weeds before, you'll have a lot more weeds.
You sure will.
A lot more
You sure will.
Yeah.
Yes, and mushrooms too.
Wow.
It causes mushrooms too, sometimes, Tegro.
So my neighbor has, like you were talking about dandelions, that's his yard. It's just dandelions, but it's no matter what. I was using Scott's for a while, and I was still getting dandelions.
Right.
So I went to just straight ammonium sulfate.
Okay, yes.
I cut my grass twice a week,
And you gotta keep it wet.
but
Yeah,
because it's grown so thick,
right.
I get no weeds at all.
And see, that brings up a good question. That's another reason why you remove the thatch if you have a thatch problem, because that's what you want. You want your whole yard to be grass. If it's sparse, you got other weeds that will prevent it from getting thick, and next thing you know, you got a serious weed problem. Then you have a thatch problem. Once you get a thatch problem, it's all over. I mean, I have some customers that like the moss. They like when they step on it, it's a sponge, and it's green, and it doesn't grow fast, and they like that velvet look. No, seriously. I mean, yeah, they really enjoy it. I gotta wrap it up. If there's one more question, I'll be able to answer it. If not, yes, one more question. Wait, you asked the question already. Bam!
So if you got spots in your lawn where you got like low spots here and there, and you're trying to even it out, what's the best thing to use? Because one guy said, well, use sand. It levels it out. Is that a good idea? Or,
You know what? Sand is good, but not complete sand. You want a sand mix. It's
Sandy loam?
Three-way.
sandy loam is good. What was that?
Three-way.
Three ways perfect because it's got like sawdust in it. It's got sand, and then it's got organic matter. A real good organic soil, and it's a mixture. And the reason why you want that, because when you plant the grass, you want the water to be able to seep through, and the sand is real good for water to get through. So, yeah.
Now, my question piggybacks that.
Okay, go ahead. Make it quick. Make it quick.
Okay, it's taken me 3 years to get as far as I am now on my lawn.
Yes.
Now I have a section, maybe 8 feet by about 30,
Right.
but I want to make into a putting green. We talked about this a little bit. What can I do this winter to get it ready for the summer when you can make it?
You know what? Winter, nothing. It's
Can't
not a good
use
time.
sand or anything?
It's just not a good time because
Nothing.
your grass is really in a dormant stage. It grows a little bit, but no, you're going to wait until spring to do that. I mean, because what you're really going to do is you're going to really just there's nothing you can really do. I mean, because if you cover it with soil now, the grass is not going to push up through it. So you want to wait until spring.
All right.
That's kind of a special seed, isn't it? And more than a special mower.
You know what? Especially special mower. What do you call that mower?
California clipper.
California Clipper, and that's what you need. And that's the ones with, it's got the rotary wheel there, and it's got the little bag that you put on that you can see the grass just go right in it.
It's gonna be a backyard putting green. I'm not gonna spend $400 or $500.
No, believe it or not, you can pick one of those up like at a garage sale or flea market for under $100.
Indoor, outdoor.
Or you get the push one too, but you want the rotary one. I mean, the one with the engine on it. And you know what'd be funny? And then I'll end it here. My next door neighbor was having a garage sale. He had one of those California Clippers, and he said it worked. And I believed him. I paid $25 for it. It's got the catcher and everything. It's got the Briggs & Stratton engine. The blade needs to be sharpened because I looked at it. It looks like it needs to be sharpened, but other than that, yeah.
You wanna sell it?
And I just might because I'm never going to use it.
Well, you might this spring.
Sounds like.
Look at. If I sell it to anybody in the group, you know who I got to sell it to. You know.
It's gonna be curious to what grows in my yard because all of the neighborhood squirrels are planting stuff in my backyard now. They're all there.
You said now, huh?
So I do have one other question for you real quick.
And then this is the last question you got.
So my front yard gets a lot of sun, my backyard gets none.
A lot of shade.
So what seed should I use in the front versus what seed should I use in the back?
You know what? They do have a special seed for shady areas. The seed that I use is called JB.
Where do you get it?
And you can get it at Home Depot. And if you want to, I don't know how big your backyard is, but if you want to tear that backyard out and put sod down, they make the sod too. But you don't get it there. I can get it at a wholesale for you if you're ready for that. But JB, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Byron Jordan with Jordan Services. Thank you.